Hi guys, welcome to the block preview for the Prologue block in the Desert Barbell Training App program library. So at the beginning of each day, you've got the just welcome video, which is just a reminder to do the things within the app that allow you to get the most from it. So if you start with a good processes, then it's you're going to set you up for success in the future. So with the first day, we've got your competition squats. So that'll be using your belt, sleeves, whatever you'd normally use. And you've got an indicator set, so a target RPE of 7.5, and then 3 sets of 5 at 75% after your set of 3 at 7.5 RPE. So with that, after you've done the set of 3 at RPE 7.5, so feeling like you could do 2 to 3 more reps, you're going to take the estimated 1RM, which you're going to have seen in the Welcome to the Team video, and you're going to calculate 75% of that weight for 3 sets of 5. So as long as you update the max, the application will do that for you. So the 75% will be calculated from the estimated 1RM, and then you're going to assign an RPE for each of the 3 sets of 5. So you can kind of track that. Then you've got bench, you've got the exact same structure, just recalculating the back-offs, and then you finish up with lat pull down, a general assistance exercise. And this is very much like the blueprint of all of our sort of basic programs. And I say basic not in a negative way, but it's kind of our starting point of how we set up a lot of our athletes training. And even if you were doing like a premium service, this is 9 times out of 10 where you're going to start having 4 training sessions, your main squat, your main deadlift day 1 and 2, and then your secondary squat, secondary deadlift 3 and 4, and then multiple bench exercises, but with your primary bench being on day 1, and then also having 1 assistance exercise per day. I realize that some people have more time in the gym, or they have goals that relate to aesthetics as well. And if you're in that camp, then it might be possible / necessary for you to add some extra assistance work. What I would suggest is that you stick with the structure of like upper body day 1, lower body day 2, upper body day 3, lower body day 4, as it pertains to assistance movements. But remember, with the Prologue block, really what we're trying to do is get you comfortable with rating RPEs, recalculating the estimated 1RM, and utilizing that indicator set. So getting comfortable with our programming style of auto-regulation with the use of indicator sets. So if I continue through, you've got your deadlift, you've got tempo bench. So this is normally, again, in most of our programs, we're going to utilize either a long pause bench or a tempo bench. Tempo bench is amazing for making technical improvements. So with that in mind, yes, we are trying to increase weight, but with all of our secondary movements, in general, the weight comes second to like good execution of the movements. Obviously, we're trying to execute all movements well, but specifically with these assistance secondary movements, we're really trying to make sure we're maximizing it from a technique perspective. Obviously, this being like an introduction to using the training app, we're expecting some newer lifters also. So tempo is going to be your friend in the initial phase of kind of learning how to get more proficient in the main powerlifting movements. You should check out our YouTube channel for our tutorial videos on squat, bench, and deadlift that have been done by Coach Dan, with Bex helping out. Those videos are basically the technique fundamentals of how we coach the lifts in the Desert Barbell training system. So that's also a very good resource for you to check out and utilize. Whenever we coach, we try to come back to these main universal truths that we teach in those videos. So be sure to check those out on this channel. And if you found this video, then you shouldn't have difficulty finding the rest of the videos that we have. Continuing on, then we've got tempo squat, we've got close grip bench, I guess it's important to highlight that close grip bench for us in powerlifting is a fairly minor change to your grip. So if you typically grip, the powerlifting rings on a barbell are 81 centimeters apart. Some of you might be using barbells that have 2 rings. They have a weightlifting ring, which is a little bit wider, and a powerlifting ring, which will always be the inside ring. So that would be like a CrossFit bar. If you're using that, if I give an example of having my middle finger on the powerlifting ring, if I'm going to do a close grip bench, what I'm going to do is basically bring my hand in so that my little finger is just inside the rings. And this is going to give me a longer range of motion, but still allow me to keep my shoulders in a good position. Whereas the traditional, or not traditional, but the kind of like old school bodybuilding close grip bench is really like just outside your ribs so the bar can pass down. And even I've seen people doing close grip like really close, like on the sentinelling. So remember, like, we're looking for transfer into our main lifts. Our goal with the close grip bench is to add some range of motion. Yes, it does challenge the triceps slightly more and then requires a little bit less from kind of the chest and shoulders, but it's minimal difference. And that's good for us in terms of transfer into the main lifts. Cool. On day 3, you've actually got 2 assistance movements for the shoulder. So a seated dumbbell shoulder press and a dumbbell lateral raise. I'd always say, especially with dumbbell lateral raises, progression is unlikely to come from weight increases on a week-to-week basis. So what you're looking for is basically control and just focus on, good execution. It's going to be, even if you have 1 kilo increases in dumbbells, it's unlikely you're going to be able to say like start with 7s and finish with 11 kilo dumbbells, just because that's a lot of weight progression for small muscles like your shoulders. So what you can do is try to increasingly control it and slow the movement down. So add a bit of tempo, or you could potentially manipulate the reps a little bit. So either you do 12 reps for the first 2 weeks, and then with the same weight, you might do 15 reps, or you could, again, increase the weight by 1 kilos, but maybe do 10 reps. Moving into workout 4, we got pause deadlifts. So you're just going to separate the bar just slightly from the floor, stop for about 1 count, and then continue on the way up. You've got Larsen press, which is a feet up bench variation for some high reps. So often we're going to include 1 or 2 bench variations that are going to put you into a higher rep range, trying to get like a hypertrophy response, like trying to hopefully work on building a little bit of muscle. But also it can be good just for bench recovery as well, just getting more blood flow to the muscles that we need for our big, heavy lifts. And then finishing off with some hamstring curls just to look after kind of knee health and just make sure we're strengthening the posterior chain also. I think I skimmed over the leg press as the accessory on day 2. So the leg press obviously takes care of a little bit more focus on the quads. We always get questions about where to position your feet. You've got lots of choices with that, and it all depends on what you want to get from that movement. So, and also keep in mind a bit like what I said about close grip bench is that people in the fitness industry and in the coaching space do tend to overemphasize or overstate, I think, the difference that having a different stance or a different foot placement will have on the muscles that are utilized. And I think this comes a lot from bodybuilding. And maybe at a really high level of bodybuilding, it does matter and make a difference. And maybe they are very, very good at feeling specific areas of the muscle that they're trying to work. But in general, we're concerned with hip torque and hip positioning. So we want to put our feet in a way that allows us to work on that universal truth of twisting the quads away. Universal truth of keeping torque in the hip, which kind of comes from twisting the quads away and maintaining that. So normally a medium to wider stance is going to have us more carryover to the squat for that. And then basically the higher up the pad your feet are, the more it kind of becomes hip and hamstring dominant. So would be a bit more similar to, say, a low bar squat. The lower you put your feet, the more it's going to be a little bit more knee dominant, so a little bit more quad focus. If you feel that you have a real potential weakness in your squat where your quads aren't developed enough, it might be a case of going for a slightly narrower stance and going for a lower position on the pad. But I don't want to take up too much more of your time. That should hopefully give you a good understanding of what we're doing with this block. And wish you all the best and hope you continue on into future blocks with us.